All right, today we are diving deep into something called the Phoenix Blueprint. And it's a really bold idea for global cooperation. It's asking a huge question. What if we could build a completely new operating system for humanity? One that's actually designed to solve our biggest, most tangled problems together.
So let's just start with a feeling I think we all have. Why does it seem like our biggest challenges, from climate change to political division to economic instability, are all just one giant impossible knot? You pull on one thread and the whole thing just gets tighter.
Well, there's actually a name for this, the polycrisis. And the idea is these aren't a bunch of separate problems. It's one single, massive misalignment. Our institutions, our governments, our economies, they were built for a different time. And now they're kind of stuck, held in place by inertia, and they end up reinforcing the very crises we're trying to escape.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look closer at this misalignment. Then we'll get into the Phoenix paradigm itself. After that, we'll uncover its tech core, the synergy engine, and see how it weaves together a new kind of global network. And we'll end with the invitation it offers to every one of us.
Okay, so if our current way of doing things is misaligned, what's the alternative? That brings us to the Phoenix paradigm. And this isn't just another project or a quick fix. It's framed as a whole new operating system for how we could collaborate and make decisions as a species.
The metaphor they use is really powerful, a planetary nervous system. Now, this isn't some rigid, top-down command and control thing. Think of it more like a living organism, a dynamic, adaptive network that can sense what's happening, learn from it, and respond to challenges in real time.
And it's all built on a few core principles. One of the biggest ones is functional alignment without forced centralization. In other words, how do you get everyone pulling in the same general direction without a single boss telling them what to do? And maybe the most important principle of all is that last one. This thing is designed to be built by communities, not just handed down for them. That's a huge shift.
But principles are one thing. How do you actually make it work? That question brings us to the tech at the heart of the Phoenix architecture, something called the synergy engine.
Now, it's really helpful to understand the two main parts here. You've got the Phoenix platform, that's the digital infrastructure, the scaffolding. But then you have the synergy engine, which is the intelligence inside that platform. It's the active part that connects people and projects, makes sense of all this scattered information, and helps turn it into real, coordinated action.
Think of the synergy engine like the connective tissue of this whole system. Its main job is to help all these different groups, nonprofits, researchers, local communities, who are often working on the same problems but have no idea the others exist. It helps them finally see each other, share what they know, and line up their efforts to have a much, much bigger impact. It's like a super smart matchmaking service for saving the world.
Okay, and this gets us to the absolute core of it all. How does this grand vision actually connect with the world we live in right now? How do our existing institutions, our universities, our governments actually plug into this thing?
Let's start with the academic world. In this Phoenix ecosystem, universities and research institutions aren't on the sidelines. They're meant to play a really central, active role.
So they're no longer just these isolated ivory towers. They become these vital hubs in the network, acting as research centers, conveners, and living labs. They feed in crucial data analysis, and importantly, they help train a new generation of leaders who actually know how to think and work in this collaborative, systems-aware way.
All right, next up, governments. Their role also has to evolve pretty significantly in this model.
So instead of just operating from the top down, governments become key players within these broader collaborative networks. Their job shifts. It becomes more about providing the structural and financial support for this collaboration, about baking ecological limits right into fiscal policy, and about creating incentives that actually reward regenerative outcomes. Actions that heal and restore our social and natural systems instead of just extracting from them.
Of course, this whole framework is really designed to empower people from the ground up, and that makes the role of civil society, NGOs, and local communities absolutely essential.
These are the people who are the true stewards of their own futures. And the key idea here is place-based activation. It's a simple but powerful concept. The best solutions come from the local context, from the wisdom of a specific place. These are the groups that are co-designing the governance and pioneering new ways to manage resources.
So what about business? Where does the private sector fit into all this? Well, they are also invited to the table, but the invitation is to participate in a pretty transformative way.
The big shift for businesses is moving away from isolated zero-sum competition and towards collaborative problem-solving. It's an invitation to align their core business strategy with the health of the planet and to start seeing profit not as the end goal, but as a powerful tool that can be used in service of a healthier, more regenerative world.
And this is where you can see how it all clicks together. Phoenix is designed as a system that works across multiple scales, connecting everything from local communities to cities to entire nations. The key is that they can all work together. They can interoperate within this larger ecosystem while still holding on to what makes them unique.
Look, this is a massive vision. So the big question is, how do we actually get from a blueprint on a screen to a living reality? That's what this last section is all about, the practical pathway.
So the work itself happens in a cycle that just keeps repeating. It starts by getting everyone on the same page with a shared language. Then you use the synergy engine to find those opportunities for collaboration. Groups then synthesize that into a coherent strategy. They go implement it on the ground. And then, and this is critical, they use feedback to learn, adapt, and start the cycle all over again. It's a living, breathing process.
And this whole thing is envisioned to roll out in 3 phases. Phase 1 is about laying the foundation, getting the first version of the synergy engine out there and connecting a few pilot communities. Phase 2 is about building on that, introducing more advanced tools. And finally, Phase 3, that's the global weaving, where you connect communities across regions and these little islands of coherence start to merge into a truly interconnected, living global ecosystem.
So, at the end of the day, the Phoenix Blueprint isn't some rigid master plan. It's really an open invitation. It's an invitation for all of us to co-design and actively participate in building a very different kind of future, one where our communities and our technologies actually work with the living systems of our planet, not against them.
And that really leaves us with one last question to chew on. What if this polycrisis, this giant knot of problems, what if it isn't just a threat? What if it's actually an invitation, an evolutionary push for humanity to finally remember how to work together and how to collaborate in harmony with life itself?